You know, when that big steel door closes behind you, it's something that everybody that works in a prison talks about, but you don't realize what it feels like until you have it closed behind you and you realize, I'm locked in here too. My name is Pat Bliss. I started off life as an artist, became a farmer, then a correctional officer, and now I'm back to being an artist again and telling my story through my art. All my life, driving by it, I would never even dreamed of going to work there. It was the last place in the world I really wanted to work. I wanted to be a farmer, raise cattle, horses, and grain. The 1980s, high interest rates, a few crop failures, didn't take long and we were in trouble. I had thought, perhaps I could work in the prison farm as an instructor with the beef cattle, because that's my background. A friend of mine who was already a correctional officer had suggested, well, why don't you become a guard and then lateral into it when it becomes open. You'll have a better chance of getting in. There's one painting in the book called Day One, and it represents myself, my first day of the job, going into the prison and thinking about, this is the big red brick monster I'm walking into, and all the different things that could happen. You just don't know what it's going to be like. But then I also portrayed myself in a different uniform, the uniform that I actually retired with, leaving, and a little bit more self-confident and happy to be leaving, but also extremely sad to be leaving a lot of family behind. It actually wasn't until I retired from the pen that I started working on this project. We really get tired of the negative image that modern media portrays us as. We're usually portrayed as knuckle-dragging imbeciles who are greedy, but we're just men and women that are from many different walks of life, that have, it's an occupation and becomes a career. I wanted to be able to, through my art, which is my best way of communicating, tell our side of the story without sensationalizing things. This painting is called The Night Watch. In order to get the light correct, of course, I'm not going to go back to SK Pen and take pictures at night, but I have an awful lot of memories of what it's like and the feeling of what it's like to go down those dark ranges. But in order to get the light working properly, I made basically a model, a diorama of what a cell block would be like, cutting windows in without the bars, and shine lights through in here. So I got the light exactly right where it was going to fall. It was after a small showing of about half of the work that I found people were really responding to this work. So many people I found were emotional at some of the paintings that I didn't think that I was feeling the emotion when I painted it, because it was everyday life. And I realized at that point that I'm onto something here. I need to get this story out. It was never about, self-healing or, facing up to past incidences that happened. It just kind of suddenly realized that, this has actually been very uplifting and helpful, and I feel so much better after I get this out. This painting is called When It Hits the Fan. It's all about the violence that takes place in prison. It's a very, very serious thing when it happens. People get hurt, both sides. It's never fun. But I wanted to bring a little bit of light to it, a little lighthearted. So I used a cartoon fight in order to explain it a little bit better. Even the rat has significance in prison, as anybody that's watched any prison movie knows, and that goes for both sides of the bars. Well, the feedback's been very positive. Any of the officers I've talked to, very up about it, and really glad that I did it. In fact, I've had a few say that, thanks for doing this, because now I can show my family what I do for a living or what I did for a living. And some that will say that it's helped them deal with some issues too. But there's a lot of people too, that a lot of officers that don't want to look at that again, and I totally get it. During the signing, I was meeting a lot of old friends and colleagues and people that weren't working in the pen, and then I looked up and there was an ex-inmate there. He bought my book. He said it was extremely healing for him. He said that this was a way to explain to his family where he had been and how far he'd come. And that really, I wasn't intending for that, but it was something that was a real pleasant surprise. It was absolutely wonderful.
If you have program ideas that you'd like to see on Max TV Local On Demand, write us at max.local@sasktel.com.